let's talk about where surge strength started from in the first place. So we go all the way back to my swimmer days, and I had a really significant injury that occurred during Dryland, really messed up my shoulder, basically took out my entire senior season of high school. And as a distance swimmer, that really doesn't help when you can't get in the yardage, couldn't even do much kicking the way the shoulder injury was. And it really hampered my senior season with that. And so not am I anywhere close to being on the Olympic level of the Olympic swimmers that I've worked with. I'm much more closer to the rec swimmer level, but no matter where you fall on this spectrum, and I've worked with Olympians, I've worked with first-time swimmers, no one wants to be injured. And so that was really at the core of how I thought about things. And we think about, the Hippocratic Oath, first do no harm, or even Benjamin Franklin talking about prevention is way more powerful than a cure, especially in the amount of that. And so that's what we've baked in from the start into surge strength. Now, there wasn't a lot of internet, social media when I was growing up. I would hate to think what I would do today because I was very driven. I was seeking out information. And nowadays, that would probably lend me to scrolling Instagram or YouTube and ending up with crazy exercises that really didn't have a purpose or a plan and a structure to get me better as a swimmer. And it'd probably result in a lot of injuries. And so we don't want you to go down that road and chasing fatigue as a main goal in Dryland. We want you to focus on what we think are the two most important goals in Dryland, and that's becoming more athletic and increasing your strength. And when you do that, it opens up all the other doors. So with that, I went ahead and got all the alphabet soup credentials that you could, went to college, learned exercise science, kinesiology, learned about the body. Then I really started putting it into practice. I've been a swim coach since 2004, strength coach shortly thereafter, getting all my ABC credentials there, and then going through and working with athletes on a very diverse basis. Again, the beginning rec level swimmers that were just doing their first summer league, I've worked with them all the way up to people winning Olympic gold medals and world records. And that flowed into us creating online Dryland programs. And we've been doing this since pre-2010 in the early days of the iPhone and apps. And we've changed as technology has changed, but what hasn't changed is the core of how we approach Dryland. That's not having athletes be injured and actually setting you up to be a better swimmer in the water based on what we're doing on land. So that's what our Dryland programs are all about. And then a few years after we started doing these Dryland programs, it was probably 2011, 2012, I put out the first Surge Strength educational item. It was a little PDF book, the Surge Strength ebook, and that eventually laid the foundation for what is now the Surge Strength Academy, including our Surge Strength Dryland certification and all that stuff. And I'll talk about that later, but some just origin stories and backstory for those of you that are new or maybe didn't even know that. So let's dive into the Dryland programs, because that is our number one most popular thing that we offer and what we've been doing the longest. So what it is, it's Dryland programming online, delivered through an app for either teams or individuals. And with teams, we work with club teams, college teams, and even high school teams as well. So whatever your background is, whether it's individual or team, you get matched up with a dedicated Dryland certified coach when you start a program with us. And how that's different than what you can see in the academy with some of our Dryland courses and Dryland plans is this is absolutely customized to you, what you have available to you, your schedule, equipment, training goals, all of that. And it's a collaboration process with that Dryland certified coach to figure out what is the best for you. And to say we've gotten results over time, I think at this point, we're pretty well established. And these numbers are pretty mind-boggling to think about. I don't even think when we were starting, I would think we'd ever get here. And I feel like we're just getting started, even with the results that we've had. And most recently, or within the last few months, we had one of the athletes who've been working with now for over a year, Maddie, come on the podcast. So you can look that up on our podcast feed for Surge Strength or our YouTube channel to see the interview. But Maddie talked about how she was pretty burned out with the sport. And when she started with us in Dryland over a year ago, it really helped renew her passion for training. And then she ends up getting her first futures cut and is excited as ever to swim and is excited to go swim into college. And then another example of Bruce, this was way back in the early days. We're early 2010s here. And Bruce was a master swimmer. He was a pretty good swimmer in college, but had been long removed. And you can see what we were able to do in just over 2 years, going from just being able to barely body weight squat, just not sure what he was doing, to back squatting almost 300 pounds, deadlifting over 300 pounds. The most impressive thing to me is when he started with us, he couldn't even do pull-ups, guys. And pull-ups is a pretty big deal with swimmers. So he couldn't even do any pull-ups. Over 2 years later, he was doing chest pull-ups, bar to the chest, not just over the chin, with 55 pounds attached to his waist. And that enabled him to just break all these masters records, do well at FINA Masters Worlds and all of that, and just enjoy the sport of swimming too. And then here's another more recent one. We had the podcast with Landry as well. She's now a freshman in college, and doing Dryland with us really set her up for success. And she was really excited about what she was able to do once she got on campus there. And we're excited to follow her through her swimming career as well. And then some of my favorites, Ernie Burning. I think some of you are on the webinar too. And I know we have a couple other people that we're working with. I was looking through the registration list. Ernie celebrated his 72nd birthday earlier this year by doing 72 pull-ups on that very same day. And they have goals of breaking masters age group records in the 90 plus age group category. So we're going to be working with them for another decade plus coming. So love working with guys like that. But that's the spectrum here of athletes we work with. Here's an athlete from a collegiate team that we worked with. He didn't have a lot of best times in a few years, just kind of plateaued. And you see him here doing a single leg deadlift with 155 pounds. That helped increase the power of his breaststroke. So he was only needing to take 4 strokes on a short course 100-yard breaststroke and then maintain that the rest of the way. And that helped him break into some new lifetime bests. So that's who it has worked for. Here's who won't work in terms of signing up for our Dryland programs. If you're just still trying to figure out this Dryland thing and how it fits with you, probably not the best place to start. Also, if you're seeking magic results, it's not just us sprinkling fairy dust and that you're going to go have all these amazing results. You need to put in the work, but we are here to support you and make sure your efforts are going in the right direction and that you will get the results that your effort deserves. And so that's what we do in terms of really collaborating with your Dryland certified coach. And we really have figured out a formula, I feel like, that is game changing. And it ties all the way back to when I was working with athletes like Cullen Jones leading into the Beijing Olympics. It was his first Olympic team he was on. He ended up being on one of the most famous relays in Olympic history. He was the third leg right before Jason Lezak dove in the water, had one of the fastest splits in history, and then they win gold and break a world record. Or like Mark Gangloff, who is now doing amazing things as a head coach at UNC. And when I was training Mark in Dryland, he really would challenge me a lot of, why are we doing this? Is this the best way? And that really shaped early on. So I can go all the way back to working with elites like that are infused into the DNA of how we do programs here at Surge Strength. So if you're curious about how to start, go to our website, just fill out a quick form, just a couple of questions, kind of what the goals are for you. You'll be able to then schedule a call with me, completely complimentary, and then we'll talk through what program and the options that we offer are going to fit best for you and your goals. So again, just go to surgestrength.com, look for the program section, click get started, and then you'll fill out the quick form, be able to schedule a call with me.